Well, the template that I followed was Kia's template, and it says, I'm domiciled in whatever state, and it's listed a couple of times the state that I'm in. But if I move, do I amend? I mean, it's private trust anyway. Does it matter? Do I just go in and like change the word from one state to another, or do I have to do like minutes or something?
Definitely do minutes.
Update.
We're definitely going to do, or you don't really, I mean, Schedule A is for like, documentation of the assets of the trust. So unless you're like changing your assets that are within the trust, no changes would be needed for the Schedule A. As it pertains to the state of creation of the trust, that can be addressed with meeting minutes, documenting the move of the trust from one state to another state, and the letters that you'll be sending out notifying the new state of your new domicile. Right? So you don't really need to amend the origination documentation because that's really a paper trail. But you do need to document any of the things pertaining to the trust operation.
Okay, so I notify the proper officials in my new state. Do I have to notify the originating state to say, hey, I'm not domiciled in your state anymore?
You could, right? Because once you complete the move and you've transferred anything that needs to be transferred and you've updated that documentation, then you could notify them that you have left their state, right? Because generally speaking, it's like you can't leave a port and report that you've made it to nothing. You must have made it to a port before you can report back that you're no longer at their port, right? Because it's not like, actual physical vessel.
Right, but I get it. If I try to take the mindset of traveling, whether by boat or by plane, you have to notify the port. At an airport, you have to go through customs and get your visa looked at and stamped and all that. So you're notifying one port, I guess is the word you're using, that you're leaving, and the other port that you're arriving, and do all the, all the stuff is about documentation and paper trails and stuff like that. So, okay. So I guess my questioning is along the right lines. Maybe it's not necessary, but it's a good idea to say, hey, I'm leaving your port, and hey, I'm new here. Here's my documentation, and then make some sort of notation in the trust, just so that there's, like you said, paper trail.
Right. And if you have the EIN for the trust, you need to notify the IRS because they have the documentation about, the address of it. So where it resides, that needs to be updated to the new residence where you have ported. So you'll need to add them to the list of who to contact or who to notify.
Yeah. So I kind of have to basically redoing all of my original notifications, IRS, all the state governmental.
Yeah. I mean, because it doesn't need to be as comprehensive as the initial, because it's just like for the IRS, it's like you need to update the address. They may even have a form for that. You may even call in for that. You'll be able to document that you have done it. And then the notification sent out to your new state authorities, whether you put them on notice, you should have, your green slips. And then just have it in your meeting minutes that you have made that communication. Here's the document tracking number that they received it. The one that they have to sign and send back to you, indicating that they have received it and who signed for it, just in case, right?
Yes,
just paper trail.
Okay, thanks. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, like moving from one jurisdiction to another jurisdiction isn't exactly like, things that typically happen. Right? So it's good to actually have that type of question pop up.
Hi, Stephen. I have a question.
How you doing? Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I've sent off my ESSNVs. Am I supposed to wait until I hear back from them? Will they send me a letter stating that they received that information? Or will I just need to go ahead and do the 1040?
Did you do it with the signature return receipt?
No, I didn't. Well, actually, I did. I got that back a while ago.
Okay. Yeah, you have notification that they have received it. So you can.
So they're not going to send me a letter?
Probably not. Right? Because the way it goes is this. You're notifying them of something.
Okay.
I mean, you can wait because I've done that. They will maybe respond to it saying, hey, we don't have your end of year filing, the 1040, 1040X,
I did
to
see that.
process this,
Right.
right? So they're getting impatient at that point because they're like, hey, you sent us the
Oh.
stuff that needs to be documented in a end of year filing, but you haven't sent it. So do that, right? That's kind of what they're saying.
Oh, okay.
They're just being
Okay.
really nice about it.
Okay. So now I have another question because I
So
did it for the
once they have
22.
received it for the 1040 S&P, you can go ahead with it.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So when I'm doing it, if I actually did not physically work, but I did file for the the quarterly 250 for the year. So when I'm filling out my 1040 information form, do I just put the what is withholdings? Because it's not income.
Those are estimated tax payments,
Okay. Okay.
right? Because withholding would be someone has withheld compensation to you or your entity and gave it over to the IRS. That's a withholding,
Okay.
right? But what the ESMV is an estimated tax payment based off of a negotiable instrument.
Okay.
So that's documented as an estimated tax payment.
Okay. Now, would that be the same way for if I borrowed from myself, would that be the same situation? Or because I'm borrowing it from the trust, really?
Right. Because I haven't delved too deep into the borrow from yourself because I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read through the documentation, right? I just haven't executed on it. So, but lots of people have discussed it in the chats.
Okay. I'll look into that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hey, hi. I have a question.
Shoot.
It's pertains to the 6575. What I wanted to know is when you accept the 6575, right? Do you have to put the amount, the 999 amount on there, or you just say accept?
Well, if you have one that has the all nines on it, you could leave that one as is. If you have one that has various number combination on it, you can leave that as is. You could scratch it out, like mark through, and write something else if you wanted to. Now, there's lots of videos that are in there about the CP 575 process, particularly by Melanin Blessed Phoenix. And he knows a hell of a lot about that. And after the acceptance of the initial one that they generate, they should send ones with barcodes on them.
Right.
Which he has stated are the ones we're supposed to use. Not that we can't use the initial ones, but we're supposed to use, based on his experience, the ones with the barcodes, because they're encoded specifically for those accounts.
Right, the one, the 670, because we did do the trust, my husband and I, and we did do the trust, right? The EIN, and we got those. But the thing is, I got the 670 only for my husband's trust, although we didn't send in the acceptance for the trust or anything. They just sent him, his trust, the 670.
Okay. You got
right? Yeah, but do I have to also accept that too, or that's just to use to make a payment?
Yeah, the 670 voucher is to use when making payments.
Okay. Because we also did the ESS and fees as well. And I keep getting letters back and forth from the IRS, made a payment, blah, 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 blah. And when we got that, I finally sent that in to them, right? I did the money order thing because I saw the video, how to do the money order within 670. Right. And I did that, but I haven't heard from them yet. That was like in September. I don't know if it's
and you haven't heard anything yet?
No, I don't know if it's because of the shutdown or what, but I haven't heard anything.
True. True.
Yeah.
Right. And so generally, it's assumed that when we fill out like the 670 vouchers, we send in the negotiable instruments that are properly documented. If we hear nothing from them, you did it good.
Okay.
Since, a lot of this stuff that we're talking about is like, on the private side. So there we no public acknowledgement.
Right.
Right. So it's like when they send us letters and like, hey, we need more evidence for this thing, or hey, we're waiting on you to do a thing. That's when something is missing. But if they don't say anything, but records get updated, which can take a long time, especially now we're in a shutdown and lots of people got removed from that organization.
Right.
It could take a while. So we can't just like, oh, I haven't heard anything in 3 months. It must have been good. Like, because before we had the shutdown, some people reported in the chat, it took them 9 months before they even got any type of feedback, which was either a letter or their records in the system that you could access updated, or a bill got handled, or not a bill, a debt was handled.
Right.
So when these things are properly executed, we may receive no feedback. We will just see an effect.
Right. Okay.
I want to say something on
Thank you.
the time.
You're welcome.
I get really fast feedback of my papers. Even
Well,
faster
they're probably just tired of listening to you or getting all your documentation, Nils.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because like you communicate with them a lot, right? Because you've been communicating with them a lot. So they're starting to like identify your documentation, right? I mean, I have that when I go to the post office. I went in today. I didn't even speak to them. They just walked from the back with a package I had to pick up. So like they recognize my face. Like they know who I am. So it's you're getting like that type of that type of situation with the agencies. Like they are seeing your documentation so much that you are getting quick responses, whether good, bad, or otherwise, because they recognize it, right? Which is you're starting to operate in the capacity and someone is taking notice, so they're actually giving it a priority. Because otherwise, it's just another someone who doesn't have a system. They're just another one within the giant mass, faceless. They don't really know what's going on. Put them in the same pile with all the rest of them. Versus someone is interacting a lot. They're attempting to go down this path. They're demonstrating competency. Respond to them. So keep doing what you're doing.
I have another question.
Okay, go for it.
It pertains to the ABNB, the APBs. I did those, but I'm not seeing anything in the transcript. I saw one A pop up, but when I try to click on it, it's not. I can't click on it. It says error, but I'm not seeing any. And I did a lot, but I'm not seeing anything.
Okay.
On the transcript.
How did you complete the second Bs? Was that through a third-party service, or did you submit them directly?
No, I did it to Iris.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I have an Iris account, so I did it.
Okay, that's great. So with that, and in that particular scenario, the documentation that we submit with the second 1099B out of the ABB process, submitted through Iris, is directly into their system, and they process it within 2 weeks, right? And like you mentioned, you haven't seen it on your transcripts. That's normal, right? Because the system that processes Iris is a completely different system than what we see with the transcripts. Totally separate systems. So a human has to go in and review those changes to be made to push them to the transcript system. And that's when we'll be able to see them. And in the particular case that you have, you can see that there is an entry, but when you click on it, you can't see anything.
Right.
I would bet that the person or persons or the team responsible for that is currently furloughed. Or they're just like, considered non-critical, so they're not making the system updates.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So that's a good thing, right? Because you see that there is some of the work that you've done is being reflected on your transcript. So it got received, it was processed, a human started reviewing it, a human started updating it, but then they had to stop. So whenever the people show back up and actually resume operation in their capacity, you should see the results of the rest of those being processed.
Okay.
Yeah. And then once you see them on the transcripts, then you could, execute that 1040X to close out that portion.
Well, I'm going to do the 1041, I believe, because I had the trust. So I still have to do the 1041 to get those 1099. So I'm just waiting for it to show up on the transfer because I don't want to do anything until everything shows up.
Well, to see the 1041 transcript, you're going to have to submit documentation for them to print out that information. You will not be able to see the trust transcripts online unless they've completed an update, which I doubt.
No, I know that, but what I'm saying is that I did the ABBs, right? But I thought I could only claim them when I do the trust return.
Yeah, for that one, because the
but I
kicker
haven't
is
did the trust return.
Right, because if you submit the 1041 too early, since the only thing that they compare the return to, like when you submit the return, they compare it to what they see on the transcript side. And the trust transcripts are not visible to us. So the only way we would know is you request that transcript, which takes about 6 weeks when everything's working normal.
Right.
So,
but okay, so when you do the ABBs, right? Isn't it the social we use to do that?
You could do the ABB on a social, prop, or trust.
Although we use all of the things that was used was the social for all the accounts, we can still use the trust when we do the ABBs, or do we have to do the social? So let's say you have a car loan or something, and we do the ABBs pertaining to the car loan, but we got the car loan through your social.
Right.
When you do those ABBs, could I use the trust to claim that, although I'm putting the social on those ABBs?
Yes, you could do that. However, you would have to act in the capacity of a trustee / fiduciary and claim it and submit the proper documentation for that. So it's not just a simple ABB social, ABB trust. It's more complicated.
Right. So then I'll have to use, but so I did file when I did the trust, I sent all the documentation to the IRS. I did the 56 and on the 28, the power of attorney and the 8021. I did all of those things, although they never sent me. They sent me back one telling me that one was, I didn't sign it, but I know I did sign it. So I sent it back to them. But I keep looking on the 1040 transcript to see if I see any power of attorney, but I'm not seeing it. But I sent all the documentation.
Well, that second 1099B, did you have it being directed towards the trust or toward the social?
The social.
Okay. Yeah, you just have to wait for it to show up on the wage and income transcript.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because the trustee and fiduciary of a trust can act on behalf of their beneficiaries and to request it. Yeah, so that can happen. It's just, you got to have a letter, give them another copy of the 56 and say, hey, look, yep, I've already got this. I've already sent it to you. Make sure it has a copy on it. Include your CAF numbers and all that jazz.
Okay. Well, I haven't got a CAF number or anything. They haven't sent me anything, so I have to figure it out online. Oh, I can get it
log into IRS. Yeah, log into IRS as your sole prop and request a CAF. You're done.
Okay, because I do have a sole prop as well. I did get an EIN for the sole prop too.
Yeah.
So log in as a sole prop. Okay.
Yeah, because the sole prop is related directly to your living person, your living being, you. So once you have that issued through the sole prop, anything that's a tax-related item that your living individual touches needs to be using the CAF number. So as a trustee, you're the living acting as a trustee, the living has the CAF. So the living has to use the CAF. Because that acts as an ID verification, right? Because you can only get into the system if you have your ID me or the other option. to get the
Right.
CAF so that they can validate who it is. That helps them separate things from, we don't know who submitted this versus this person who has an ID me and a CAF. So we know their identity. They submitted it.
Okay,
So
because I do have the ID.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to get the transfer. But I love it that as with the social, not with because I did that before I got the social, the soul prop. So now do I need to do one with the soul prop, another ID thing to get with the soul prop?
Well, you just log into professional services with your ID.me account.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I just got in there with the app number.
Yeah, they might ask you for your EIN, and you just give them the Soul Props EIN.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, right on the main page, I believe it's the right side. Last time I logged in, is you can request CAF.
Okay. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Thank
I mean, you could do it like during this call. I mean, if the services are available on the weekend.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah.
Man, this should be. Well, we do have a chat for that, right? CAF number. Because I know it has been discussed and we shared information about it in this group.
Okay, I'll check it out and see.
Yeah, maybe check the IRS form 48 or 2848 CAF app and 8821 chat.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Hi. Do we need different CAF numbers for different purposes?
No.
One should be enough.
Because it's
Okay.
it's the authorization to submit and interact with the IRS. And it serves as a validation of status. So it's to help reduce the amount of challenges to, we need you to come in to validate your identity because we're not sure if actually a living person did this.
Okay. And it also serves as to file for other people.
Right.
Like I could file for my son.
Right. Because their entire point of that program is to ensure a human did it. Because everyone who gets a CAF, it traces back to a human, one human, versus your social security number that you have, that I have. You could just throw another name on top of it and they can use that account because that's just how the system's designed.
Okay. I got for the soul prop a CAF with an R. I just wanted to do for my other entities, just do it online. That's just a regular one without an R. So I was thinking if I could have two, maybe it's better.
Well, okay, so the CAF and the CAF-R. All CAF numbers have an R in the IRS system. All CAF-R numbers that individuals or organizations receive are the public designation of a representative to file on behalf of others, typically CPAs or tax advisors. That's it. They are all representatives, right? So we have a representative number for our fictitious entity attached to our living being.
Okay. So the other one, they're both the same. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you have just a regular CAF number, like if you go through the sole prop with professional services on IRS portal, you won't get a big old R on it. If you use that for other business purposes to file for other legal entities that you do not own, they will change it with an R on their side and possibly issue new ones because people have posted about that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. That's
Thank
why
you.
there's no difference between it. It's just someone has an R and someone doesn't.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, I have another question concerning the CAF number because I have sent the IRS paperwork 3 times to get my CAF number, and they said that I don't need one. And I did hear Dr. Heller said that you could go online and get one.
Yeah.
So is that just for the sole prop business that I can get that CAF number? And if so, it says that I need a CAF number to even apply for that.
No,
I
it's
should
just go to the IRS page to sign in. We have like the different types of sign-ins you can do. Click on professional services, sign in with your ID.me account. Believe it'll ask you for your EIN for the entity that you are signing in for, and you could do other ones later. And then once you log in, it's just right there on the first page once you log in. Because that's how I did mine.
Try that
Because I had submitted documentation to them, and they said, you don't need this. And then someone told about it, and I just did it right then. It took like 5 minutes after you do the login.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Like, it's super easy to get. Because like the human agents, they're part of the system, right? The computer system, it doesn't care. As long as you provided the correct inputs, it will give you what you're requesting.
Okay, great.
Yep. Good question. All right. No one has any other questions? Question mark. I know someone has some questions.
I have one.
Okay. Go ahead, Rick.
Yes. The CAF number that you get online, and the other one the agents gave you, like with the R at the end. Is there any difference between them?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep. The regular CAF number that we can receive through the irs.gov website has an R in their system. Because the living is the designated representative of the fictitious entity that you're requesting it through, right? So it's a representative system. The one that people get that comes in the mail that has the R on it is they are registered as a representative for other living and fictitious entities that they do not own. Right? So that's why when we try to mail it in, a lot of people, myself included, got the letter like, you don't need this for your entity, which is technically true because we're the designated representatives of it, the authorized reps. We don't need it officially. However, on the back end, there are certain particular fields where that value can be entered, right? That's on their side. And if you have a CAF, it can go into that and it adds credibility to the documentation because it is a CAF number attached to a living individual. So it just reduces the chances of requesting an audit on the validation of the paperwork, and they know who it is. So that a living is requesting this stuff. A living is asserting their rights. It's competency checks. So if you don't have a CAF yet, and you haven't got your sole prop, I highly suggest go getting that sole prop EIN and go getting that CAF. Because it just adds weight to the documentation. And especially if you're going through CYC and you're doing the trust and everything, and you don't have a CAF, it is highly advantageous to get it.
I just wanted to say thank you. You reminded me to include my CAF number on the IRS requested again, the 1041 for the pay yourself process. And and yeah, I have the package back, send it back with a coupon that I got, a payment coupon, and adding it on. And it just dawned on me, I did not put my CAF number because I just got it last month. So thank you, just reminding me to add that to my paperwork.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank
and
you.
if anyone does have a CAF, make sure you include it on all correspondence with the IRS. Everything. Either include it in any typed up documentation or write it in later. I use blue ink on mine, just so they know it's coming from the living.
One quick question.
Okay.
When you're doing the CAF number, when you said use it on all documentation. So that means when you're doing the 1040, if you're doing anything pertaining to the 1041, you use the CAF number still on everything?
Yeah, everything.
Oh.
Right. So so like if you're doing a response to them, like you send in documentation like the ABB, and someone says, yeah, we did all this and it didn't have any changes on your credits or debts. When a response to that, it must be on every single page. So like if you include a 1040, every page of that 1040 CAF number, even if it's on front and back of a page, everything with writing on it needs to have the CAF number on it.
Oh, okay.
There. So if you're sending in copies of 1040Bs that had been accepted, that are on the transcript, or you print off a copy of that transcript, everything. You write them a letter, or you type it up, you sign it, put your CAF number on that document. Either type it in or write it in. Everything. Because that's what it says, right? Because when getting the CAF, part about getting the CAF is you will use this number so that they are aware that everything associated with it traces back to you, the individual, which is why it cuts down on those, well, we received this documentation, but we're not sure who submitted it. We're going to need you to validate your identity. The CAF number is only issued against an identity. So if the CAF number is being used, it is tied to an identity. And that identity has validated the data. So not to say that they couldn't still question it. It's just, it is tied to an identity. The identity was validated because that's how it was issued. Yeah, that's a good question. Absolutely. Right, because that type of information does not hurt to have it reiterated multiple times. Because I found out when I was writing some of my documentation, I put it on like 17 of 18 pages. I missed one. I was like, how did I do that? Did it anyway. I got to make sure I triple check my documentation before I put it in an envelope. Because one little mistake, they could say, well, we could validate all these pages except for that one. You got to come in to verify your identity that you submitted it. And I don't want to play that game. Time is precious. And I'll say this actually also on it. We don't always have to like write it in, because some people get tired of writing things, so they do so much of it. Because once you get down this hole, you might start writing a lot of documents and dealing with a lot of paperwork. Stamps. Like especially like, you could sign off on each of the pages, especially if you're acting as trustees. A customized stamp that has CAF number and signature block would be a great, investment once you get to that point. All right, who else has any questions? Because I do know there are people listening who haven't asked questions in the past. So I'm curious, is everyone just listening because they're experts and want to try and figure out what's going on, or everyone's just preoccupied? And I wish I could see the chat associated with this live, but I cannot. So if anyone does type and you have a question, put it in the chat Recoupers live session channel.
Is this the same group with Brian John?
Never heard of that person.
So you're different.
Right. This group was started by Jeremy Ellis.
Huh?
This group was started by Jeremy Ellis, the 903.
Okay, no, I was asking to do you have a website?
No, but he has TikTok where he talks about lots of things. But this group in particular is focused on recoupment.
What is the name of his TikTok? Don't worry, I'm not amazing.
I mean, that's fine. He deals with agents all the time in person. So
yeah.
Let me pull up my TikTok. I can tell you. I believe his current TikTok is hashtag capital T, capital H, capital E, 903.
Oh, 903.
Yep.
Let me ask you one more question before I go check it out. Has your group had success in what you're doing?
Say that one more time. It was a little muffled.
Has this group had success in what you're doing?
Yes, several people have had success with this. Several of them in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You know what? Because I'm just so tired of joining different. I notice that all these groups, and it's no offense to anyone either, like they'll come in and say it's $100 to join my group, $1,000 to join the group, and then when you get in the group, like I'll look at certain things and it's all information, especially with one individual that 2,500 getting this group, and caused like a cybersecurity people to come after this guy who set up his trust, and that just made me mad because when that happens, then they don't respond. The person who creates the site, they don't have anything to say, and that makes me mad that people do that, That's why I ask for success. Or you know how it is. Come join my PMA. And I'm calling and I'm saying, okay, so when we join, what are you going to do? Like, are you going to give us A, B, C, D? And what we need to do to set up whatever we're trying to set up. And so, oh, wow, we walk you, we give you videos. No, I want to know, do you have like a structured plan that tells you that you have to take, like, that is success? Not something where, like I was telling you, every time I go into a group, which I joined like 5 this month, and you got to pay for these. They're not free. And you will see everybody's running around, and they don't know what they're doing. And there's no sense in you here. I'm in a different group here, believe it or not. You are different from where you stepped in, but nobody knows what they're doing. It's like the blind leading the blind, and then they're all falling off the cliffs. And like, something's just not right there. And then you pay them, and you know what I mean. You go in, there's nothing really going on except for a million questions.
Oh yeah, I mean, because that's kind of like how Jeremy approached it with this, because he saw a lot of it, and so many like law enforcement taking advantage of him, breaking their constitutional oaths.
Right.
And he had this group, and people were talking about it, and then we got a lot of organization, and the organization that's currently here is created by Dr. Heather. She's the main admin.
Okay.
And it's all split up into different type of topics specific for those learning paths. Besides, like, you know, our announcements, our approved affiliate groups, like with the regionals, to meet people live in person to y'all study, and the live chats. These are all centered around very specific type of topics so that people can focus on what is pertinent to them as a starting point, or to share knowledge around it. And what the big thing is, our group is against usury, right? And what you described as usury, people saying, join my group, pay this amount of money, we'll help you do this. That's usury. That's the same thing that the feds have been doing. It's the same thing as London has been doing hundreds, thousands of years. We are against it. This group is free. If someone messages you saying, hey, come sign up for this, especially like a crypto scam, screenshot it, post it in the chat, we'll ban them. We don't do that. No. This is a free share, free information. And lots of people have heard about it because, like, we did lives on TikTok, or several people did lives on TikTok that are members of the group, and others found out about it, and they have joined. We know they're in here. The information is free. If they choose to go do evil, that's their karma to deal with. We choose to share information freely, right? Like, I get paid nothing to do this, and I'm here for up to 2 hours. If people have questions about any of the things, I share my knowledge, point you in the right direction. We believe heavily in self-improvement, self-accountability, do your own research. So people share about it, and we share about processes that work. These things do work, especially like when you get into trusts and fiduciary type activities. These are laws that are established that are older than our country, America.
Right.
They're well-founded. They go back to like the 800s, well-founded, or the older covenant.
I agree.
Right?
That's why I asked you if you dealt with trust, because that's the problem with most of these people. Like, they'll say it's $150 a month, and then I'm looking and their trust packages run between $150 to $2,000. Or
we know they've stolen information from the group. We know people have taken information that's shared in this group, and they've done TikToks and they try and scam people. We know it's a fact. We know it happens. If they want to go get some negative karma so they come back next life as a slug, hey, that's on them. We're not about that. So
I don't charge either in my own group, and I don't charge for anything. Like, if I get information, I think it's good, and I have to, you do have to check it. You know, you can't just go based on someone's telling you.
Right. You have to be accountable for your own life.
Exactly. People, just beware. I'm going to get off right now. Beware. There are so many people out there that I'm going to let you know. In the real world, you know, people that are experts in investing. We had a person that we get our investment information from. You know, they're talking about it. They're saying, listen, when someone tells you that they have a quick fix, getting trust, estates and stuff, he said they're only a quick fix so that they can take your money and put it in their pocket, and they actually deliver nothing. Right. So it's getting out there in the regular business world that they're doing this, and I don't know for how much longer they'll be doing it, but yeah. But thank you.
Right.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because like this type of stuff is unwinding. Like the era of usury is unwinding. A lot of people can't see it because they just don't know where to look. But you have to have excellent pattern recognition and a depth of knowledge and watch like stuff that goes on in the Senate and Congress, the stuff that the Fed talks about, stuff that are going on in other countries and what they're doing in the crypto space. The system is unwinding, but it's a very
Well, do you
deeply
notice
informed
that?
system. Oh yeah,
They,
I've known it for a long time.
First they started with, these pedophiles, right? Now I see them, they're going into police departments. Police.
Oh yeah.
And they're busting up their stuff and arresting them for trafficking, stealing drugs, drug enterprises. But guess who's next? Do people think that it's not going to happen? The AIs are firing, because of the AI, they're firing people that work in the computer field, like programming and stuff. They're getting ready to start hiring. The lawyers, they get out of college and become a junior lawyer. They're going out the door too. I heard that they have AIs now that do all the research. They have the AI. So the lawyers are next. And I bet I saw a small ad because I used to be a program, a clerk, but a program too. That was my major. The judges and stuff, you know how they hide their 990 people? No, it's going away. You'll be able to pull up their 990. That's why Jesus said, what is covered will be uncovered. He doesn't want secret. So the public world thinks they're not even public. That's just the main people, okay? Like when you say a public servant, that isn't a public servant is really the Republic. And so the public is, their job is to what? Bring to light what is covered and hidden. However, what they didn't tell you is that they are a special corporate organization. And so the municipality, like the word municipality, muni means silent. That means silent law. Silent means they didn't tell you that they're under contract. Their courtrooms are private. Like that judge, that's her courtroom. She's renting a space out of the courthouse to harm you. And her protege. They not only go by the Constitution, which is created to protect them, but they also have, the Constitution which protects the Fed. You have the other Constitution of the state that protects the state workers. And then local government uses local ordinances, and they also use private law for their own courthouses. All those judges are private. And so when you try sometimes to fight them, you're losing because you don't realize that those laws are really, you can see them online, but they're private. So what you have to do is just immediately write a response to state that those laws don't pertain to you. Those are statutory laws, and they're actually created, you can tell they're not for you because they're created, and you look at all the sections, Title 1, 2, I'm talking about local law. Local ordinance. They're made for the employees, not for you. And that's why I'm telling you this, because I used to be a clerk. Those laws pertain to the employees of the government by their employer.
Yep.
They're not for you. And the name, well, if it's under their control, you're only, for now, until you make the proper claims and stuff, you're only a third party. You're only like an authorized representative to that name. They are the trustees, the judges. She's the one who pulls the funds down to prosecute you. You don't even know them. And then guess who the beneficiary? They are. I can pull it right up from the bars down. They are controlling the whole thing, and they're throwing you in the dirt.
Oh yeah, as long as people don't know who they are. Yeah, I mean, because the IRS does the exact same thing. That's why it's a federal. It's a tax on federal income. It's not a federal income tax, right? People misconstrue it. It's a catchphrase. It's a tax upon federal workers.
Right.
I'm not a federal worker. That's the whole point of like that. Everyone who's listening or listening.
I heard them say
a non-decedent is to distance yourself from the corporate fiction known as the Social Security number, which was previously known as employer identification number in the federal system for federal employees. If you're not
And
that
that's
and you
where the
haven't updated
federal
your stuff,
comes
you
in.
need to do it. Right.
But I remember once I was talking to the Social Security, and I was asking them something about my daughter's account, and the worker told me, I'm not allowed to discuss another federal employee's account. And I said, wait a minute, a federal employee? I told her, when did they become federal employees? She didn't want to mention it. And I said, listen,
Right.
where does the federal employment come from when we work with private, like private enterprise? She did not want to talk to me no more. But yeah, you're right. That's where the federal part comes in, people, because it's so. But the IRS is also a big private organization. They are actually debt collectors.
Yep.
So, yeah. But anyways, I'm just gonna mute out now. Thank you for your answering my question. Thanks.
Absolutely. And for anyone who doesn't know, how does one inadvertently get sucked into having actual federal taxes withdrawn out of their money? And that would be from the W-4 that was inappropriately filled out because someone said you had to do it so they could take out the federal tax on income. That's what that happened with. But that information, since if you have ever done a W-4 to get a job and they withheld taxes, especially FICA, Medicare, and all that jazz, and then state tax, you need to correct the presumptions. Or if you never had a job and you're doing stuff, you need to look at the 4852 form to correct the incorrect reported information. You need to do it.
Is that farm hall?
4852, it's a reporting of erroneous or substitute W-2 form. I believe that's the title of the full thing.
I hope you do a class on that because my old man, when he went to get a job, they were mad because he didn't want to pay taxes. And they told him, that's so, I think that was just called un-American of you. And he was thinking, we're not supposed to be, but they wouldn't give him the job unless he filled it out. So that's something to think about.
Well, that's fraud, right? Because they are intentionally under threat of duress and coercion saying that he needs to do this form fraudulently. And the whole reason they do it is because once you fill out this form, they can access the federal account associated with the trust of the social.
Wow. Well, that's what they do. I'm telling you, they told him, they were, and he needed the job, but because it paid well. But he just he came home and he said, you know what? They were not happy that I didn't want to fill it out. All right, well, we're going to have to do something. I'm glad he told me I'm going to go with the form. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing. If they had him, anyone has forced you to do a W-4 so they can take out federal income, you can ABB them. Please don't do a current employer. They could probably fire you for it because you'll be threatening the entitlements that they're getting, drawing off the system, committing fraud and stealing from you. Just as a word of warning.
Well, he's not going to say nothing right now because he works in the programming field and, they're trying to get rid of people. And that's not telling people. And I heard him talking about the IRS. All these people, remember the first layoff that they did in COVID with the post office people, all those people that were working from home with COVID, did you know that they were never coming back? Because the lady from the post office, she said, oh, we're done. We're never going to come back to the post office. We now work from home. And then they start laying off the federal, right? And they told me the same thing, that they're not. Once Trump laid them off, they weren't coming back. They got that money. It ran out in September. September is the last day. September 30th is the last day of the fiscal budget. And then their calendar starts again in October. So they lost after September 30th. Now we're competing with our government layoffs and people for work now. And now you have the police people now, they're starting to get fired. The SNAP benefits. So yeah, like I don't know if they're going to give the SNAP benefits out, but I have 2 grandkids that I'm raising and I get SNAP for them. And I said, wait a minute, you cut me down to $15. Oh, your grandkid made so much money. I said, wait a minute. she's supposed to be exempt. You said if if you're in school, I don't know if you guys get SNAP or anything, but if your son or daughter is in school and they work, and the rule is supposed to be you're not supposed. They have to work over 20 hours a week so that they can get it, but they're exempt, even if they're in college. As long as they're in school, they're supposed to be exempt. So, the lady's telling me, "Oh, when did you realize that there was a change in the income?" I said, "Wait, you mean when did you realize that you started charging her as if she's an adult and not in school?" So I realized that when I called you right now, I'm looking at this letter saying that you're giving us $15, which is fine. I'm not going to say it's fine every month, but, I have little grandchildren. And, she was telling me, well, I'm going to put this in for you. It'll be 30 to 45 days before we can fix it. And another thing, she was telling me, because I asked lots of questions to these workers. She goes, yeah, we're short-staffed, and that there might not be coming back to work. You know why? Because the AI is going to take it. Before I can speak to a worker, I spent 30 minutes with an AI trying to get to that agent so I could ask her what was going on. So the AIs are not taking over. So just beware if they don't come back. I don't think these workers are going to be coming back, not IRS or any of them. They are really laid off. So, my blessing and heart goes out to all of you. I'm trying to find a group to get with our group and everybody else's group so that we can work together. Like supporting each other with food, with, whatever our knowledge is and experience. We can't let them crush the middle class. And that's what they're trying to do. But I think if we prop each other up, we can help each other.
Absolutely.
Right now, donate food to the food banks. If you have a few canned goods that you could use since Thanksgiving's coming and stuff, things like that, clothing, jackets, for people that are homeless, or I don't even know what happened to our people. We don't even see them. All right, guys, we shut up now for good. Thank you.
Thank you. Valuable information there.
Yeah,
And
ask a question.
Yeah, please.
Could you explain the EIN? So on my when they forced me to do the W-4 taxes, I wrote exempt, but they still take out the Medicaid and the Social Security or Medicare. What does the 4852 form?
Well, the 4852, and here's the full name of it because I pulled it up. It is the substitute for Form W-2 Wage and Tax Statement, or Form 1099-R, distribution from pensions, annuities, retirement, or profit-sharing plans, IRAs, insurance contracts, etc. And this form is for correcting inaccuracies on a W-2, right? And the W-2 would be the tax withholding reporting for federal or taxes against federal income, right? Very important words there. So federal income would be, are you an employee of a federal government agency? It's a yes and no question. If the answer is no, then that means any of the amounts reported on that W-2 are false. And since we, as the living, who negotiated the contract with a private employer, which is to say not a public entity, public being the government, then any of that amount reported on the W-2 needs to be corrected. And the only way to correct that is the Form 4852. So if you negotiated a private contract, say with Walmart, where you're an employee of Walmart, which is inaccurate, you're operating in the private capacity of commerce and you negotiated an exchange. You provide your services, and in exchange, they provide a wage, an amount of money over a certain period of time. That's not federal income. So the numbers on their W-2 that they issued to your social is wrong. So that needs to be amended. Now, this particular form is mentioned several times in the group, but not many people really delve too deeply into it because we always would say, well, actually, there's a website that's in kind of a forum where they have extensive years of documentation on people, individuals, using this form to get back the withholdings that are reported on the W-2 because they're correcting the presumptions. Private contracts means no federal income. No federal income means you can't do federal income withholding tax, Medicare, Medicaid, that stuff. So you need to know who you are and what that really means in terms of financing, right? It's just like one little facet of this entire giant thing. And I'll post a link.
May I
Yeah,
ask
sure.
a question in regards to that?
Absolutely.
Additionally, now when you sign these the private contracts, like with to provide services for exchange of money, right? Are they still
Right.
allowed to get credit of 10 times on your social security number?
Well, yeah, unless you had a power of attorney signed and you read that contract very, very closely where they assigned themselves as an authorized representative acting on your behalf, aka a trustee. Unless you corrected their presumptions and terminated their power of attorney, yes, they can access your trust because the contract that you signed is an asset and they can draw upon it.
So how do you go about to do that part? Is it when you signed up to work for that company per se, or you do it through the IRS yourself?
Well, much like the previous lady mentioned, if you attempt to refuse it, to participate in the fraud, then they can deny you the job. So, and this is like everywhere, right? This has been going on for a very, very long time since they created the system. So, since this group is focused on recoupment, the operating assumption is fraud has been committed upon you. You need to recoup it. So you need to be armed with the correct laws, the tax reporting, and submit the documentation and the evidence to the appropriate agency, IRS, or the Department of Defense, or Department of Justice. Right? So this bleeds into the claim your credits and the ABB process. Right? So the claim your credits is you're claiming back your credit.
I could hear you.
Which part? How far back?
The part right before the ABB.
Right. Okay. So in the claim your credits process, the ABB process is explained. And that in particular is to reclaim your credit from particular entities that have taken advantage of your account without your knowledge. And that applies to any other entity that has an EIN, aka a public entity. Kind of public, right? Not exactly private, public in the same definition. But in any entity that's registered with the federal government. So you can ABB a previous employer. That is perfectly within your ability. Now, if it's a good idea or not is up for each of us to decide if that's how we want to operate. Like if you want to go after that mortgage company that securitized the note, kept the escrow amount, created a secret escrow account, the other the trustee over, and then had you find a fictitious installment agreement where they made you pay back the amount they already got paid from the Fed Reserve window from your original promissory note, and then monetized it over 30 years and then sold it off to 3 other companies who then hypothecated it further, which is where we get the 10x amount. And they can just keep going with it. They don't have to stop at 10. They can keep going further and further and further. Because this whole process is about pulling back what's ours. And there's many ways to go about it. It's just up to each of us to figure out what we want to do and then to do it. Because the basic premise is all of us have inherent rights that are inalienable. It cannot be liened. They were inherent by our creators, whether you're a religious person or not. We have creators, we have rights, The Constitution specifically identifies certain ones. It's not all-encompassing. They should have included one that says not to be taken advantage of and someone commit fraud against them, but they didn't. So, yeah, I mean, everything that's in this group is a starting point, even though the starting point has hundreds of years of history to learn and all kinds of laws and regulations to learn about. It's the starting point. That's why we, particularly these type of lives are for who has questions, because there are questions. Even if you think it's a silly question, it's not, because these are all the basics.
Okay, I have a question. I know y'all was talking when I logged in. I heard y'all talking about the CAF number for your sole prop EIN. So how would I exactly go and do that? Because I don't have a CAF number for mine.
So you go to the IRS website, log into the pro services with your ID.me account, identify your EIN that's your sole prop, and request it from the very first page.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Gratitude.
Yeah, no problem.
What the recoupers of where that link you said of that website will be at? Where could I find that? Will that just be in the general section?
No. The general section's closed because everything was in it before we went to the hierarchy we have now. I posted it into the channel called Chat Recoupers Live Session. It was posted at 2:22 p.m. Eastern Time. So that site has lots of stuff. You do not need to buy the book that they're talking about on that website to look at the bulletin board and the things that people have posted. I did specifically the link to the bulletin board. That is not their homepage, where they have evidence of people who have corrected their status with the IRS and recouped money, right? So that's a separate process than what we have in this group, but it is a very valuable resource. And a lot of the stuff they have posted over there, like they have their initial claim, private, stuff redacted. The IRS response, their response to the IRS response, correcting errors the IRS made, and then examples of checks that they receive by going through the process, right? So it's all of, when people come in here, it's like, has anyone recouped anything? Has anyone got their money back? And who has any proof? That website is basically what they're looking for, right? Like we have people that have done it. Say again? All right. So that the website is Lost Horizons, right? So they have a different focus than like this group. Like we're on Telegram versus they're like on the web, and they don't update their stuff that often. But I also haven't like gone through every single link on their webpage. So they might have like an interactive bulletin board system similar to Telegram. I don't know, because it really wasn't what I was looking for. But their website is a treasure trove of knowledge. Oh, but I was saying, like, people have been in this group and have gone through the process, particularly the ABB from the Claim Your Credits, and received their checks. People have done it. So it works as long as you know what you're doing.
About the packet that says Claim Your Credits?
Yeah. That's a whole huge thing with Claim Your Credits, right? Because it's like doing non-decedent, updating your statuses, or notifying the government of your true status, creating a trust, a revocable trust, going through all that stuff, and then going into the ABB process. But you do not need a trust to do the ABB process. It's just included in that entire thing. It would be beneficial. It would behoove you to create a trust to gain that knowledge. Because that is how the elites operate.
I started that process, but I haven't finished.
It's a lot. Like a lot. But it's good to start down the road because there's so much you have to learn in order to effectively operate. This is information we all should have been learning our entire lives growing up, so that when we turned 15, we were full-fledged adults that could operate in commerce without anyone taking advantage of us. But that didn't happen because some elites got in control of our education system and drove it to the ground.
That 4852 EIN form, that can be done currently, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, just be mindful. You can go back, as IRS states, you can receive refunds from the 3 prior tax years. Not that you can't go back further, you cannot directly receive the refund, which is to say, there are ways of getting it done. It's just you need to know how to do it and how to bring the amounts forward into preceding years until you get to a present year or a year that you can receive a refund. CYC? No. The claim your credits it's in here. Well, the major channel dedicated to it's in here. Holly has a mailing list, particularly for claim your credits, that you have to sign up for. And then you can get access to her Google Drive, where there's like a whole bunch of videos with her and Walter. Ma'am, were you in one of those videos about this whole process?
Hi, Steve.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
I've seen you've been in the group. I just haven't said anything to you.
I'm so happy that you called me. I was actually the one that asked Walter to contact Holly and for us to create something more accessible on the ABB process. However, I'm going to say it here respectfully. Something to think about it. I'm going to keep it professional, ethical, and respectful. I started my ABB process and within a week, I received a response and everything is moving forward. I did not follow the process that Walter shared in that video because I had a lot of questions. I'm just going to, like I said, I'm going to keep it professional. And now I want everybody who come across this video to think why so many people haven't got any results after filing their ABVs with that process. That it was in that video. Do your due diligence. Like I say, and I'm going to say it again. I want to keep it professional, ethical, and with respect. Because I don't think anybody who gets involved in creating educational material makes mistakes and errors on purpose. I believe in my heart that everybody has good intentions on helping people. The problem is that if you haven't gotten any results yourself, and if you don't have proof of concept, you have no business bringing people into that journey unless they're willingly, say, oh, I'll take my chances, then it's up to you, right? That's something that needs to be disclosed because I don't want to hold anybody accountable for what I do as an individual because I don't think anybody can work on your process and do the due diligence for you, but yourself as an individual. It's each and everyone's responsibility to get the knowledge and to verify that what the educational material that you are using as an example to do your process has proof of concept. That being said, I waited. You guys know that I have been around for quite some time. I was very active with Shimmer in her TikTok lives. I love that woman. Much respect. But that being said, I waited because there were things that I had so many questions mark, and on my own time, doing my own due diligence, I couldn't find the answers until I came across an amazing, amazing person that I'm gonna keep it private, who helped me untangle the big issue where I was facing because of a situation that arises with an ABB finding that it was done wrongly. Like I said, I'm not going to say that it was intentional. And the reason why I'm addressing this here right now is because I want everybody to be very aware. Even if you're paying somebody, make sure that when you do your ABVs, you do it in a portal with the credentials that belong to you. So if any mistake has been made, you have access to make the corrections. Because there is nothing more frustrating, guys, to be in a situation where you have been put in harm's way and you cannot access the findings. And the person that you trusted to do it for you is not taking the situation serious. And like I said, I'm addressing this here with love, respect, professionalism, and appreciation, because I don't think anybody does anything among our community intentionally to harm anybody. I want to believe in my heart that everybody has good intentions to help everybody, because we are sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of working 2 jobs and not even, meet our basic needs, when we know that they have been monetizing a blue card person. So be very cautious. Again, do your due diligence, guys, and make sure that, and I'm not talking about, let me also be very clear. Make sure that you look at the ratio. I made a comment on recoupers, because I think it's so important for you guys to understand the recoupers. The way I see it, recoupers is like the library where you go to get the knowledge, the material. You're a starting point and you start searching, but you have to be very diligent and very loyal to yourself and your journey, and be very conscious on who you follow, and to make sure that that person or that group or that organization has proof of concept, and the ratio of proof of concept of their members is at least at 80%. What I'm trying to say is, if you decide to go to a specific organization for a fee, you want to make sure that the members that are in that organization have proof of concept, that their ABVs were completed properly, that they're 1040, because come on guys, it's already November, okay? It's already November, right? So whomever filed taxes, their 1040s back in January, if their file were done properly, and I'm talking about their 1040s and the ABVs, as well as their claim your credits, their non-decedent package, guys, there is no reason why by November 8th, they haven't gotten their refund in their bank account. Let that sink in. Let that sink in, family. And I'm coming from a place of love for somebody that has been in a journey for 16 years in the claim your credits. I started, for those that don't know, in 2022, I was presented with the home equity reconversion and have to claim the face value of your mortgage note with your inclusive number. That's the reason why I have always said Your CUSIP number is the key. And that's my area of expertise. When I was new to the taxes filing and the claim your credits and the APBs. And because of who I am, I have to have 1,000% clear understanding of what I'm doing before I move forward with anything. I did make a lot of mistakes, and I take full responsibility because it was something that we were in a bubble. But anyways, I digress from that area. What I'm trying to say is, people, this is your journey. Even if you pay somebody, make sure that your ABVs are being filed in a portal that uses your credentials that you have access to, because you want to make sure that if any mistake has been made in that filing, you can access the portal and make the corrections. It's your journey. It's your process, guys. This is
it's your life.
It's your life. Everything is in your hands. You cannot give the power to somebody else, no matter. And don't trust no one. Do not trust anybody when it comes to what they're saying. Do your own due diligence. And like I said, this is coming from a place of love, gratitude, appreciation, educational. Guys, those who know me know what I think about this whole process. So be very protective. That's what I want to say. Be very protective and be very loyal. And stop going from one. You don't need to be a member of 20 freaking groups. The time that you invest jumping from one group to another, invested in reading the basics to get you on game, guys. To get you on game. There is basic and standard educational material that you need. You don't need to be going through everything, and just because somebody say, "Oh, I got a result," then you just drop everything from the process that you're doing, and then you jump in. Let me just say it. It's this simple. Erase, and this is what I tell people who have reached out to me. You have to unlearn all the shenanigans that were shared in the groups in the past year, and work on claiming your credits, on getting your non-deceiving status on point and accepted with the IRS, and work on your ABVs, on bank statements and credit cards. Before you start doing that, though, know why. Understand why. So when you are put in front of an IRS agent like I was, you can honorable stand on your ground and earn their respect.
Yes.
Credibility, knowledge is power when you are in front of an IRS agent. They will tell you and guide you when they know where you're coming from, that you're not a funny trying to monetize these processes, claiming that you know what you're doing and charging people that who's barely making ends meet. And it's not about charging, guys. There is nothing wrong with that if they know what they're doing. But if they don't know what they're doing, if they don't have proof of concept, run. I said what I said. Steven, I love you, brother. You know you are a king, okay? And I love each and every one here. Sending love, respect, and gratitude to each and every one. Thank you for opening the mic for me. Again, thank you. Much love.
May I ask you a question, ma'am?
Sure.
The portal you're referencing, would that be the portal of like where you were sent to a website to list your claims that would be a portal. That's a third-party portal. Is that what you're talking about?
Iris.
Yeah, no. Whenever, not no. Whenever you okay, everybody has a different websites that they go to file their 1040 or their ABVs. Okay, everybody, there is Iris, there is many other websites. What I'm gonna tell you is, do not give anybody the right to do it for you, because if anything goes wrong, if they did not file those documents properly, and there is a need to make corrections, you have no access to that portal. How are you going to make the corrections? And the saddest part is that the people that you trust the most is the one that is going to fail you. It's very disappointing, guys. So my advice to each and everyone, and this, if you're going to hold on to anything, hold on to this. Any filing that you do, make sure that nobody does it for you. They share the screen, have them walk you through if somebody's helping you. If you're paying somebody, have share the screen with them so they can walk you through it. I'm not saying not to seek out for help. What I'm giving you is the heads up for you to have control of your filings so you can access in case you need to make corrections. Okay, very important. And if it was me, because see, that's the whole thing. Nobody was supposed to file that for me. I was supposed to do it. They did it. And that wasn't supposed to go that way. So, again, I'm not saying that they're doing it intentionally. Like I said, this comes from a place of love, but constructive criticism sometimes can burst people's ego, not knowing that they are putting people in harm's ways. And it's very easy for them to turn their face and just block you and delete the whole conversation and just vanish, and for you not to have access to them, guys. So think about
yes, that's
that.
the same way. Yes, and I agree. And that's the same way with the trust, is that you got to know the information about being a grantor and all of that, because if you give it to someone else, they can still have backdoor access to your funds.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
so yes, thank you so much.
Of course.
Very important that you shared.
My pleasure.
Yeah, man.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for coming up. I absolutely
Always.
love you.
I love you. No, recoupers. I'm sorry, Steve. Recoupers. I will never go away from recoupers ever. Recoupers
Thank you.
to me is it's the library where everybody get the resources. Okay, thank you, Steve. Thank you so much. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
And for everyone who you're kind of listening along to what Ma'am was saying, go back and listen to this recording once it's posted, because the amount of information that she was actually sharing, not surface level, which has its own meaning, but the deeper meaning, we're talking about, doublespeak, legalese. Go back and listen again, because she shared a lot of very important and pertinent information, and it bears repeating. You are accountable to yourself for your life. So when she mentioned doing your own documentation, doing it in your portal with your own credentials for yourself. Because if something happens and someone else does something for you and you don't have access, you're not in control of your own life, right? I believe very strongly in I'm going to do it my way, myself. I mean, it's great if someone does it their way and they want to see me have the same success. I can't do that. I'm going to do it myself. It's just something I promised myself a long, long time ago before I was aware of things. I'm going to do it my way. And for all the different processes, I got this, I wanted to mention it. If you start learning about these processes, they're explained in the group, and there's something about it that doesn't feel right for you, don't do it, right? Guide your own path. There's a particular thing that you need to do You're aware of it at some level. It's a thing you're like, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to do that. Or I'm curious about this one idea, and you start exploring that rabbit hole. Stick with that, right? Don't force something. If it doesn't feel good to you at the moment, don't do it. If something seems off about it or you're missing a critical piece of information, don't do it. Find it. Find the thing that you're looking for. Do that. All right? And that just doesn't apply for this, but it's everything about your life. There's something about it that you know you need to do, but you're not quite sure of what it is or where you need to go to find it. Keep looking. Right? Because only you know what you need to do, whether you're aware of that or not. But keep learning so that you might realize what it is that you need to do. Right? That's what I want to say about that. So thank you for coming up, ma'am.
My pleasure, King. My pleasure. My pleasure. Sending love to each and every one, and keep on going, guys. Don't give up. Don't give up, because let me tell you something. If I can do it, guys, you don't understand. If I can do it, guys, you guys can do it as well. But
absolutely,
don't be a follower. If you don't want to be a leader, that's perfectly fine, but be your own leader. Just think of your legacy, your family, your children's, all the knowledge that you can acquire just by investing the time in reading instead of interacting and exchanging just a small talk in the group, guys. It's a waste of fucking time. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, guys, but be serious about it. This right here, I'm not going to say that it's a 1% of the population. I say that it's a 0.5% of the population, because it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of focus. You need to stay focused on your why. Just think of your why. Whenever you find yourself engaged in just a small talk that is not going to take you a few steps forward on your journey, digress. Remove yourself from there. Have conversations with your own self and start a disciplined journey, because, guys, time is of the essence. And now the same energy that you're putting just creating, being popular, is the same energy that you will create learning this. And you have no idea how amazing it feels to be in front of a group and know that you come in with facts. And though nobody can fool you. That right there, darling, nobody can take that away. You don't understand. You don't understand how powerful it is when somebody that you follow make mistakes and you call them out. And you know, and you call them out on their shit. But in a good way. But their ego got bruised, because not everybody's here for the same reasons, guys. So just protect your energy. Be aware of your sources. Whatever information you're getting, be aware. Be aware, guys. I cannot say this enough. Be aware. I love you guys. Love you so much, guys. And we got this. I know you guys got this. Go back, listen to it, and I'll see you guys in the next live. Okay? Much love.
Much love. Thank you, ma'am. All right. We got time for one question. One more.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have a, can you hear me? I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say thank you, ma'am. And I needed to hear this because, you know, there's times that you think, oh gosh, I just want to give up on this. And I thought, you know, I think my why is to keep working so hard, 50 hours a week, just to help, you know, to support, you know, me and my husband, to support our kids and do what we need to do. But the real why is what everybody's doing here. Stephen, I want to personally thank you all the time. Thank you so much, because you're so dedicated in always being here on these lives, to give us information, to be on all the chats. I see your responses all the time. It's just unbelievable how much time and effort I can imagine that you're putting in. So I really appreciate everything that all of you do, and everybody here that's contributing just in focus and energy to this group right now. And I just wanted to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I second one thing about Steven? He is always accessible, guys. I don't know how he does it. He works in the amount of knowledge that he has, guys. He is one of the very few people that I will consider a leader. I have so much respect for this man. And he is always, let me tell you, the answers from him are full of knowledge and golden nuggets that you have to replay. When you replay his answers to the questions, guys, oh my God, Steven, he is what a leader. He represents leadership. And I'm not saying this because he's here. He knows that I'm always reaching out to him, mostly when there is people in the groups, causing disturbance. But along the way, I have learned so much from him. So thank you for bringing that out, Ego. Thank you. I appreciate you for the acknowledgement about Steven, because his time, understand that everybody here gives their time for free. And when you find somebody that is worth listening and has the kindness, the willingness to share that knowledge, guys, we have to embrace. We have to embrace and reciprocate. The way we reciprocate is by doing right and doing what we're supposed to do with that freaking information.
Each one teach one, right, ma'am?
That's right. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, and I do want to make one correction. I'm not available all the time. I do sleep 5 to 6 hours a day.
Oh my goodness, only 5 to 6.
I love you,
Only
brother.
5 to 6. Yeah. So I'm not available all the time.
It works, and has a family, okay? Think about that. No, we appreciate you, brother, always.
Absolutely. And yeah, everyone, this stuff is free. We have this set up to share information freely. There are agents in this group. Just don't have an illusion that everything that everyone says is 100% accurate, right? You must use discernment. You must learn for yourself, for your future, for your life, because that's everyone who has the choices to make for each of us as ourselves. So, the information is there. Post if you have questions. Someone will respond, right? I mean, I look at every single post that's in there. Do I respond to everything? No, because sometimes I don't think it's needed. Sometimes it's just great to have a question asked, just because it will keep your mind moving, right? Because if you can think of the question, you can think of the answer. You may not like it. You may think it's not correct, but it could be. So that's why I always ask, who has questions, right? Because I know people have questions. I see questions posted all the time. I just want to know who is willing to go out and put it out there. Because if you could think about it, everyone could think about it. And someone just might have that exact same issue.
I have a question.
Shoot.
Are we answering questions on the 147C payment coupon?
I mean, yeah, we can.
Okay. Well, I just received one for my 98 number. Now I did this 98 number in 2015. Yet I'm just receiving, and I didn't even ask for this, by the way. Yet I just received the used for payments letter with the 9s all the way across. And I was wondering if I can use that to pay a traffic ticket or even to discharge debts on the car, I'll be going to a car lot tomorrow with Mitsubishi. I set up an appointment to go down there and look at them. Now, I've been studying these consumer laws, and I'm not sure if the consumer laws and that payment voucher go together, or if they're separate, or what. I'm at your mercy.
Okay. Well, first, congratulations on receiving that voucher. You must have done something, and they're giving you a tip, right? Because they wouldn't just send it 10 years after the fact for no reason, right? There's some reason they sent it to you. It can be used for payments. That's what the documentation is about. But as it pertains to your question, you don't have a payment there yet, right? Because you're going to go establish a contract, establish a debt that requires a payment. So at the outset, the answer to your question would be no, but that's only in the way in which you ask the question, right? Because you don't have an established contract that necessitates a payment.
Right.
And that voucher is for payments. Literally, it says on the document, use for payments, right? So they gave you the blueprint. I mean, especially if the year for that thing is all zeros, they gave you a blank check. It's just up to you to use it appropriately.
Wow.
Yep. I mean, because it is a negotiable instrument waiting for you to finish it. That's what it is. Because it's identified specifically to that account for your 98 number. That's why it is documented the way it is. It's just not complete because you haven't identified who to pay to and who was assigned by and what's the amount. That's what's missing. You need to properly endorse your document to make a negotiable instrument and use it for a payment. Right? But if there's no payment required on a thing, you cannot use it because there's no payment to be made. So, and that actually touches on like a thing with all of this, and especially like the ES&V process. Debts must be created first before settlements can be made. Right?
Yes, that makes absolute sense.
Right? Because you can't settle a thing that doesn't exist. Right? Because like settle this argument. One side has nothing. The other side has nothing. There's no argument. There must be a disagreement. There must be a debt. Once a debt is established, payments can be made.
Okay. With that in mind, I have a traffic ticket that I got back in like 2023. And I didn't know about it yet. It just came up and I had a capias for my arrest. So I had to sit in there for some hours before I bailed myself out. It was hard to get a bondsman to come down for $35. So I asked someone, well, can I give you $100 and you come down and get me? And they said, sure, we'll do that. So they came and got me out. And then when I went to court, they gave me an option to settle right then or to come back to court and take it to trial. And I said, well, I'll just settle out right now. And I didn't know that they were going to impose a fine. So it's like $360 something that they want me to pay. And then I agreed to pay. So would I be able to utilize this coupon if I endorsed it with the amount that they're asking on this document?
You could, as long as, because that coupon is for your 98 EIN.
Right.
That EIN and its organization must be able to act on behalf of your blue card person. Or you should say, can think of it in this way. The blue card person must be a beneficiary for which your 98 acts in their best interest. And settling a debt would most definitely be in their best interest. Because if you maintain that, it has further commercial implications that will hinder its operation. So keep those things in mind. Can it be done? Absolutely. Does it require the proper structure? Absolutely.
Do you have an idea of what that proper structure would be for this ticket? How would I set it up? Well, to put it this way, my blue card person is Robert Kelly. And my 9-8, the name that I use for that is El Bono and Bay.
Okay. Well, then it would be El Bono and Bay needs to fill out the negotiable instrument and include a letter of instruction with it, identifying that Robert L. is a beneficiary for which they have the authorization to step in and handle their affairs in the capacity of, like, say, a fiduciary, right? Since fiduciaries have authority that is at and above the level of the IRS itself, they can settle matters. And because of UCC, and courts deal with bonds in the UCC, if you tender the negotiable instrument, either they could accept it or they reject it, which discharges the debt. They either get paid or they get nothing. It's up to them. Because the odds that they actually properly refuse payment is slim to none. Because they have to appropriately respond and return it to you in the original condition in which it was submitted. Are they going to do that? Probably not. Throw it in the trash can and they say, we're not going to accept this due to da-da-da-da-da, but you need to send it to them with registered mail because it's a negotiable instrument. Must be registered mail. Must be. That's a requirement. And registered mail is insurance. So they can either accept it or discharge it, right? So cover your bases. Make sure you operate in the correct commercial capacities and you have the documentation to support it.
Right. That UCC would be tender of payment UCC 3-603, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. And if they do dishonor it, move under UCC payment dishonored. Give them the option to cure. Yeah, right. So give it to them again. And if they fail that one, move appropriately. Act in commerce. They want to act by commerce? Act in commerce. Because the giant joke of it all is if you play by the rules, you win. That's it. If you play by the rules, you win. Did the rules make no sense? Sometimes. Do it anyway.
Thank you.
It'll be frustrating, but if you act in the manner in which commercial entities are required to operate, you will have remedy.